Good morning to one and all. Today we are going to discuss about introduction of dental amalgam. Amalgam is one of the oldest and most important materials used for restoring the carious tooth. Amalgam technically means an alloy of mercury with any other metal. The word amalgam is derived from an Greek word emollient, which means paste. Dental amalgam is an alloy made by mixing mercury with silver tin alloy to which varying amounts of copper and small amount of zinc are added. According to Kenneth J. Anusabis, dental amalgam is an alloy of mercury, tin, copper, silver, and which also may contain zinc, palladium, and other elements to improve handling characteristics and clinical performance. In dentistry, amalgam or silver amalgam is one and all refers to the same as dental amalgam. Coming to the history of dental amalgam, the first reference of the usage of dental amalgam was identified in 650 AD, where Su King in China gave the earliest reference of use of silver paste for filling. In 1528, Stockrus introduced amalgam to Germany. And later on in 1578, Shinshen used 100 parts of mercury, 45 parts of silver, and 900 parts of tin. In 1603, Crelius created amalgam filling by dissolving copper sulfide with strong acids and mercury. Later on, it gained importance in 1818, where Louis Regnat, considered as father of amalgam, credited for lowering the temperature of Darcet's mineral cement by adding more mercury to it. Darcet's mineral cement is nothing but consists of 8 parts of bismuth, 1 part of lead, and 3 parts of tin and 1 part of mercury. Later on in 1819, Charles Bell introduced Bell's putty. It was discovered accidentally when Charles Bell mixed some mercury with silver fillings. He found that the mix initially had a putty-like consistency, which later on hardened like metal. In 1826, Trivia introduced silver paste mercury mixture. Later on, this was modified, and the same paste was introduced in North America as Royal Mineral Succeedum as a substitute to gold for royal family by Crocker Brothers. From later on, it became famous because it was more cheaper when compared to its succeed, that is gold. Later on in 1845, American Society of Dental Surgeons condemned the use of all the fillings other than gold as toxic, thereby igniting the first amalgam war. The society went on further and requested all the members to sign a pledge refusing to use of amalgam. This policy was reconsidered in 1850. Then several investigations are happened into the composition of amalgam and properties had been modified, and several improvements were made in dental amalgam in US, UK, and France, later on considering as used as a filling material. In 1861, John Tomes conducted a first research program in amalgam, and in 1895, G.V. Black standardized the formulations in amalgam. Whereas in mid 1920s, a German dentist called Professor Alfred Strock started second amalgam war. He claimed that he had an evidence that mercury could be absorbed from the dental amalgam, which leads to a serious health problems. However, a committee was appointed to investigate the findings and its allegations, and later on in 1930 declared that there was no reason to condemn the newer silver tin amalgam mixture, thereby ending the war brought about by the investigation team from Charite Hospital. In 1930, ADA specification number 1 was allotted to dental amalgam. In 1963, Innis and Eudalis introduced admixed alloy, but in 1918, Hall Huggins started third amalgam war. It began in 1980 from the writings of Dr. Huggins, dentist in Colorado, convinced that mercury released from the dental amalgam was responsible for human diseases affecting cardiovascular system and central nervous system. And after all this, in May 13, 1997, safety of dental amalgam as an restorative material was proved in media. Coming to the composition of the dental amalgam, according to the based on the copper content in that, it was classified as low copper alloy and high copper alloy, whereas the low copper alloys are nothing but the GV Black's conventional amalgams. Low copper alloys are available in lathe cut and pulverized form and spherical particles. It generally has a copper content of less than 6%. Its composition includes silver 65%, tin 29%, copper 2 to 5%, and zinc 0 to 2%. Whereas high copper alloy, nothing but copper enriched alloys, in 1963 Innis and Udelis introduced high copper content to overcome the inferior properties of low copper amalgam. Copper enriched alloys are further classified as two types, that is admixed and single composition. Admixed is nothing but it's a blended alloys as the contain two parts by weight of lathe cut and one part by weight by spherical silver copper eutectic alloys. The main composition includes silver 65 to 70%, tin 17%, copper 9 to 20%, and zinc 1 to 2%. Whereas single composition, also known as unicomposition, in this each particle in the alloy has the same composition. The composition includes silver 60%, tin 27%, copper 13 to 30%, and zinc 0 to 2%. Coming to the functions of individual alloy metals, silver, it is the major constituent and it whitens the alloy, decreases the creep, increases the strength, increases setting expansion, increases tarnish corrosion, decreases setting time. Whereas tin, it is the second most major constituent. It occupies about 1/4 of the composition and it decreases the setting expansion, decreases strength, decreases tarnish resistance, and increases setting time. Copper decreases the brittleness, increases hardness, increases setting expansion. Zinc mainly acts as scavenger and increases the plasticity of the mix, decreases tarnish and corrosion, and it prevents oxidation of alloy during manufacturing. Coming to the next constituent, that is palladium, it mainly increases the hardness and whitens the alloy. Mercury, it is one of the major constituent, sometimes present in the alloy powder in a range of 2 to 3% as pre-amalgamated alloys. Pre-amalgamated alloys is nothing but in these the surface of each alloy particle is treated and coated with mercury by the manufacturer for rapid amalgamation process. It mainly consists of 35% of mercury. Coming to the mode of supply, it is available in a bulk powder form or alloy and mercury in disposable capsules, pre-weighted alloys as a tablet form, and pre-proportioned capsules. Manufacturing of dental amalgam alloys. It is of two types, lathe cut alloys, spherical and spheroidal. Coming to the lathe cut alloys manufacturing, in this the metals are heated first with protection from the oxidation until they were completely melted, and then the melt is poured into a suitable form to form an ingot. The ingot may be of 3 to 4 centimeters in diameter and 20 to 30 centimeters in length. This ingot is cooled relatively slowly, and then once it's completely cooled, it is heated for various periods of time of the frequency of 6 to 8 hours at 400 degrees centigrade to produce a more homogeneous distribution of silver and tin. The ingot is then reduced to a filings cut with a suitable tool called lathe, and then it is ball milled. The particles are then filtered through a fine sieve of mesh, and then the larger filings are ball milled again to reduce them to a proper particle size. Aging of an alloy is a desirable process during the manufacturing which improves the shelf life of the alloy powder. It is associated with the relief of stresses induced in the particles during cutting of the ingot. Next is spherical or spheroidal or atomized powder. Spherical particles are produced by a process called atomization. all the metallic ingredients are melted together to form the desired alloy. The liquid alloy is sprayed into a large chamber through a very fine crack in a crucible under high pressure of an inert gas. The chamber is large such that the globules of the liquid alloy solidified before they reach the bottom surface, thus preserving its spherical shape. The shape of the sprayed particles may be spherical or somewhat irregular, which is known as spheroidal shape. The late cut alloys are no longer preferred nowadays due to their irregular particle size. Coming to the particle size, it's completely controlled by the manufacturer. The average particle sizes includes 15 to 35 microns. A smaller particle size is chosen because it results in less mercury content, rapid hardness and early compressive strength of the mix, and it also produces a smoother surface on carving and is less susceptible to corrosion. What are the different metallurgical phases of amalgam? This phase 1, that is gamma, silver tin phase, gamma 1 phase, silver mercury phase, gamma 2 phase, tin mercury phase, which is the weakest phase, epsilon, Cu3Sn, neta phase, Cu6Sn5, and then the silver copper eutectic, which includes silver and copper. Influence of silver tin phase on amalgam. Silver, that is around 73%, and tin of about 27% is cooled down below 480 degrees centigrade, leading to the formation of an intermetallic compound, that is silver tin is formed. If the silver content is more than 73%, setting time is shortened. If the silver tin content was greater than 27%, it leads to the formation of gamma phase and mercury tin rich phase is formed. And this mercury rich tin phase, that is gamma 2 phase, lacks corrosion resistance. This is the weakest phase among all the phases in the amalgam. Next class includes the properties of dental amalgam and classification of dental amalgam and manipulation of dental amalgam. Thank you.